Peace and light, peace and love. Welcome to the SIRIUS CYPHER, where the modern mystics and the spiritually minded come together and build. Have a seat at the table, and let's get it. What's up, y'all? Peace, light, and love. I put that one together, forgot I had it on there. I said, I'm going to just go ahead, fuck around, play that one.
I like that one. I like that one. I like that.
So I said, let me just go ahead and get that set off. Thank you for connecting with the SIRIUS Cipher for this week. And this time around, we are talking about strength, is what card came up at this particular time. This energy right here is all about us overcoming our weaknesses, courage, persistence. And so we go definitely get into the whole business of all of that. And since right now the circle's small, we go get some serious build going, because there's just been a lot that's been coming through for me. And a lot of things that's just been on my mind. So we definitely want to get in there. But Axel, Quantum Lion, we go get you in here shouting out right about
now. So that's right.
That you go ahead and say what's up and give
what's up, everybody. Yes. What up, what up, what up? I'm happy to be here. You know, it's like I said, Shikesha, it's been a rough go of these, which is not common for me. Like, I'm usually like the one that's, you know, on the front lines, and I'm ready to cut heads off and do all this stuff. But lately it's been a whole different thing, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why and what is happening. But one thing that I ain't no punk, and I ain't no giving up type. You know what I mean? Like, I always have in the back of my mind, I'm always processing things. So it's beautiful that this is on strength, because I feel like maybe my spirit's gonna speak up, you know, and vice versa. I'm here to listen more than anything, and really just be all ears and try to soak in any kind of game that anybody else got to spit.
Hey, me and you both, brother. Me and you both. And so I set the intention today, which is really intriguing to me, because I set the intention because I really need some assistance in this area. And I set the intention that everyone that would be of assistance will show up at this particular time. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm here, I'm open, and I'm here for it. But I wanted to check in. Have you gotten any downloads, channels, messages that you would like to share right about now?
I'd say no. That's part of what the business is for me, is like, why aren't things hitting on all cylinders? But you know, I feel like everything is self-caused. You know, like a lot of this stuff that we go through is because we're trying to put ourselves through having a different perspective as far as what other people go through, right? Because sometimes when you're hitting on all cylinders constantly, it's like the spirit takes you through certain phases, I feel, where it'll kind of cut you down in order for you to be relatable. You understand? So and I feel that, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it necessarily, because I'm currently going through it, which is what makes it like tough. You know, it makes it tough because in my head I am processing certain things as to why it's happening. A lot of it, I feel, like I said, I'm always the frontline type. So I do feel currently that I'm taking on a lot of people's energies. And I don't mean, I'm not gonna put no business out there like that. But certain things basically happen in order for me to, how can I say this? Sometimes like for instance, I'll have like my homeboy, you know, from high school. He'll come down. He has all these, you know, things on his head, and he just just spews all over me, right? But I already know that, and that's kind of the position that I play. It's kind of like I serve as a filter for people sometimes.
Mm.
Um, so as I would say, energy doesn't die. So even like a negative energy, if it comes to my house, if you don't deal with that negative energy right away, like that shit's gonna sit around and it's gonna actually take on the form of you.
Mm.
So I feel like a lot of times I do that. People will come and they'll, you know, come shit in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here to put up with the stank.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like I'm okay with that because I'm not far above anything where I can't put things together like we all have to. You know what I mean? I can't. It's tough also being at such a high level of thinking all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing everybody not being on that same boat with you.
Right.
That shit is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I feel like honestly this last week I kind of threw in the towel a little bit. And I'll be honest. I threw in the towel a little bit because it's kind of like you don't see what you want to see, and you're kind of just fucking throwing a fit. You know, and that's the process. How do I work out why am I having this fit? Because your last show was about patience.
Mm.
So it goes hand in hand with what today is about, which is strength, because patience is strength.
Yeah.
And patience is actually one of my strongest virtues. But there's so many things going on right now. I know with me in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm, like there's been a lot of stuff happening, you know. I've been off of work, you know, for disability because I couldn't use my arm,
Oh, wow.
you know, like all this stuff. So all those things take you through a process. You know, like I had ACL surgery. That was one of the worst things I've ever gone through, and especially how it happened for me and everything. So those type of things where things are taken away from you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, it really puts you in a space where you really now have to like think and be appreciative. So although I'm going through all this stuff, I'm still meditating. I'm still being grateful. Um, Today was actually a big, I feel like a shift in that energy, because I even text my wife yesterday. I said, "Look, I'm sorry I have not been um like present. I haven't been um responding the way that I know myself to respond.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of just let go." And a part of it, it feels like that's part of like a phase as well. It's kind of like letting go, which is why I just allow it to happen. Like I just let go. Like, you know what? All of this, like everything, everybody got a certain opinion about something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I really just gave up, to be honest. I gave up.
Yeah.
And that shit sucks because that's not my character. But I feel somewhere deep inside of me, I felt like that giving up was needed in order to bring about this other roar that's coming from inside of me.
Mm.
Because it's almost like you got to get sick of some shit in order to reinvent something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? This energy has been trying and tested me too in so many ways. And I've been wanting to give up. I have not really been meditating like I've, you know what I'm saying? Like I usually do. Like that's a part of my routine is I get up in the morning and I get that in. And I've just been in this space where I'm like, I'm not feeling it today. I don't even want to be bothered with that shit. I don't want to be bothered with nobody. And so I just been kind of staying out of the way. But when I did get some of that quiet time together, you know, spirit just placed in my heart for me to not give up.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I started to get other creative ideas, other things, and still not feeling really motivated to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, just a bunch of head spin and everything. And so now I've been like laying a lot of the process down to move forward. But then I also know what how the moon cycle works. And then for me, when this moon is in that whole new moon space,
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people, like I start, you know what I'm saying, kind of withdrawing and going within and everything. And I'll say what I got to say and connect with people when I have to. But for the most part, I kind of draw within. And I'm so glad that, you know, in the class, I'm taking self-invested classes and we were talking about that moon cycle. It made perfect sense when I started realizing that, you know what I'm saying, I go through the same phases as the moon does, but I'm not really sure if that's what it is because check, we got 6 planets in retrograde right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. We got Mercury, we know is in retrograde. Now, the last day of the retrograde is on the 2nd of October. Now, right now, it has shifted. With Mercury, it moved over into Libra, I believe. Mm. Okay. And so this is going to be really important for us to start looking at like how we're jumping to conclusions and what's fair and being open to new ideas and everything. And so that's where it put me in that whole mentality. Jupiter is in retrograde still. It's been in retrograde for a minute. You know, but Jupiter is going to stay in Aries. And that's the whole thing about what's lighting you up, what's firing you up, and all of that. That's going to be until the 28th of October. Then it's going to shift over into Pisces, right? So where we move from, Jupiter is that whole expansion energy. And then, you know what I'm saying? We talking about our philosophy, you know what I'm saying? And how we've been dealing with hidden talents and everything, right? And then it moves over into Pisces. And this is us like really paying attention to like what our limitations and shit might be, or, you know what I'm saying? Or things that we may have been under illusion on and getting expansion on that because Pisces rules that whole energy too. Or even like if we get into behaviors that don't serve us, addictions, you know what I'm saying, toxic relationships and shit like that, there's an opportunity for us to get some clarity there. So these retrogrades, even though it sends us through a lot of changes, it is an opportunity for us to gain some clarity. Saturn's in retrograde in Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? And this is how our personality impacts all of the shit that's around us, our working and all of that type of shit. We got Uranus and Taurus again. I've been going through, you know what I'm saying? Just really talking about that because we see so many examples of Uranus and Taurus with you know, paying attention, where we talked about in the last one on temperance, where we were talking about that whole extremism energy and everything that was showing up. And that was heavy. Neptune is still in Pisces and will be there until December 3rd. And this right here is all about us breaking down illusions. We've been bullshitting everybody in our world, maybe ourselves. This is a time for us to stop bullshitting ourselves, right? And really start connecting to what is and making peace with that. And then we got Pluto, which is in Capricorn, which is all about those unspoken barriers, time to move on, and a lot of relationship repairs. We fall out with some folks. We don't want to talk about the part that we played. We focus on shit that they may have done, shit like that. And so we get opportunities through all of these retrogrades to really get clarity in all of these spaces within our lives that we've been kind of like brushing under the rug. So when I'm doing my oracle readings, I'm getting a lot of the moon energy. And this is all about us talking about that shit we don't want to talk about, right? You know what I'm saying? The shit that embarrasses us. You know what I'm saying? The shit we feeling kind of ashamed of that we rather not speak about. This is where we get an opportunity to get that clarity on there. And even though like we sit here on the cipher, we keep it real with each other about where we're at in our walk. However, sometimes what we do is we just don't talk about some shit. It don't mean we ain't keeping it real, but not going there gives us an opportunity to kind of know in the back of our minds, you know what I'm saying, what those things are, because everything ain't for sharing. You know what I'm saying? It's being able to check in your mind what needs to happen, come into peace with that. And then I got a goddess, oh shit, Sybil, who came through, who was encouraging to embrace that animalistic nature to ourselves and be empowered in that. And what we end up doing is that we get into this thing where we're so spiritually minded that we forget at the end of the day, we are in human form and we still get to do this thing called life that everybody else on this plane is doing. You know what I'm saying? And so it affects us a little bit differently. It hits a little bit differently. Our understanding of what's going on around us is perceived a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
Now that we got these planets that are in retrograde, we can come up out of these illusions and really be clear. Let me tell you, I just want to, because I don't want to, but it was a girl that was in Home Depot today. And she complimented my hair, and I gave her I thanked her, because one of the things that I need to work out is like being able to receive a fucking compliment, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so I tried to just receive that compliment and keep it moving. Like, thank you very much, keep it moving. But in my mind, I complimented her. She heard that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she thanked me for complimenting her. She said, I know you didn't say nothing, but I thought I heard. I said, you did. You know what I'm saying? And when she said that, she was like, I knew I could do that. And you know what I'm saying? And she was all this. And I started feeling so uncomfortable. And that gave me a little bit of clarity on me and how I've been moving with this whole spiritual thing. Because see, if I ain't comfortable with that shit, ain't nobody really going to be comfortable with it. And I know she probably thought that I was probably on this spooky, oh, you going to hell for this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But it really wasn't. It was that I start noticing when I can read energy, when I start stepping into a higher vibrational, spiritual type of space where I'm able to do some magical shit like telepathy with somebody that's connected, or if I'm able to read some energy, or if I see a vision of something that makes me feel, it makes me feel so uncomfortable that I was able to see a vulnerability in somebody or be able to see something like that, it just makes me withdraw. But what I realized that I was doing with me being so uncomfortable, it gives off a completely different vibe. And I tucked it away because I do this shit all the time. My brain freezes and I just lose train of thought. Like it's an anxiety thing that all I need to do is remember to get grounded. It's weird.
That's interesting. Yeah, we all have our little quirks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it all comes down to that color you're wearing, that heart chakra. You know, it's like sometimes we think we got to do things a certain way in order for it to be okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're just all different, you know, like, and we're kind of like meant to be different because we're supposed to balance each other out. And even the fact that you don't have a response sometimes, and this is not giving an okay to like any, however you may be feeling about anything.
Right.
But I'm saying like sometimes we could overthink it too, where we think we got to do things a certain way for it to be acceptable, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like the fine balance where we're at. How do we meet all these points together and really balance some shit out? Because I'll tell you what, as much as I'm fucking feel like I'm struggling, I'm a motherfucking superhero right now because of the fact that I'm going through it. I still come on this live. I'm still willing to have conversations. You know, like I said, I kid you not, I've been flying high for a while now. And I've only been in this whole thing since 2020.
Mm.
So you think about it, that's a short period. I I want to say like my whole first year was like up down, like heavy, like crazy stuff that I was having to go back into the lab and deal and rebuild myself. But
Mhm.
like I want to say this whole year up till now, I've been flying high, like sun gazing, doing all these kinds of things that I know are tools that have been given to me that have made everything so much easier as far as like how to deal with an energy that's low that comes into my life. But for some reason, these past 2 weeks, and I don't know if it had to do with me being like off of work and stuff like that. I'm sure it didn't help, but I kind of threw in the towel in the sense of not like totally giving up, but like a rebellious spirit took over me. Like where I was like, man, fuck all you. You know what I mean? Like it's just something that came over me, and I was very aware of it that I was being rebellious. And at the same time, I was aware that they were withdrawing from my energy because it was turning into a low energy, which is something that I haven't dealt with for a while. And like I said, I feel like it was kind of like something that I had to go through. I actually feel great today.
Mhm.
I woke up. Look, this is how I know that things change, right? I went to sleep like around 2 something in the morning listening to brother Rod Hayes on a Black Magic 363, right?
Yeah, I didn't get to hear that one. Yeah.
So I listened and I listened and I rewinded and I listened and I did all this stuff till like 2 something in the morning. I'm like looking through stuff, and then I wake up around like 6:40. I want to say just naturally, like my spirit's like, get up. And I've had those promptings in these last 2 weeks, get up, and I just don't do it.
Me
Right.
too. Me too.
So today, and I would say that this started with my text to my wife yesterday saying I apologize. Like you guys don't deserve me not being who I need to be. Um, I'm gonna get back on my job. Is basically what I said.
Word.
That I believe was a statement to myself, to my spirit, to my soul group, right? Because a lot of people, whether they want to say it or not, they're dependent on you.
Right.
Because a lot of us are playing big roles within this whole thing.
Mm.
So I I said that statement yesterday, and I think that's what got the spirit or the ball rolling.
Mhm.
Now today I wake up 6 something, the spirit says, get up. And mind you, this is the earliest time where it told me get up. So I'm like, I was thinking of laying back in bed. I grabbed a cup of water and I went back and I was like, my spirit's telling me to get up. And what happened is I usually let the dogs out when I get up for whatever reason, just so they could go outside and pee or do whatever.
Mhm.
And I heard like all the birds, like they were just having this whole festival in that tree. Like kinds of chirps everywhere. I'm all like, it's a party up in there, you know?
Mhm.
And in my head, it sounded like my spirit was interpreting as that's the therapy you need to hear right now. Get up.
Mhm. Get up.
So I got up. I got up. I got up. I sat outside. I waited like I think it was like 10, 15 minutes, and the sun came up over those valley mountains here. and I was just staring at the sun, which honestly I hadn't done that in a while. You know, the sun gazing. But I was kind of just putting the intention, like you know, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. It's a lot of shit I don't understand. Please give me patience.
Yeah.
Um, it's not that I don't understand it. It's that I need to have the patience for other people to see what we have going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Shift of the consciousness comes through a perception. So I feel like most people's perceptions are stuck on what is being sold to us. You know, the media, all this shit that's on the tube. You know what I mean? And when people are stuck into that, they 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 basically, as a collective, they are more, there's more of them putting out this certain projection, so we all experience this as reality for us. And for some people like us that are putting in the work, you know, let's say weeks at a time, and then like all of a sudden you have like a domino effect of bad things, you know, that are coming into your life, and all of a sudden you got this low frequency coming into you and really taking over and creating a realm, right? Which is just add the M at the end of real, right? It's
Yes.
like that's and realm really just means government.
Right.
And it, you know, so what is governing us? And I think for me, Shakesha, a lot of the frustration is I see the shit that could, I guess I see ahead of time. I see like a prophetic type vision type stuff. And I get frustrated because we're not there.
Yep.
I get frustrated because we're not there.
Yep. Yep.
Like
Yep.
I see so much talent in a lot of the great teachers out here. But I'm frustrated because I don't see us putting it together.
No.
You know, I see us like all kind of in our own lane. And I'm like, fuck having your own lane. Like, I'm done with having our own lane. Like, let's put this puzzle together. Everybody holding on to a piece. And then, I don't know, I got problems with a lot of different little quirks that happen in consciousness. But maybe that's my own shit that I got to get through. Maybe it's something that I got to deal with. But there's certain things that bug me, you know, and I feel like it's causing a rift between people because what it is a lot of us have trust issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, that we've
Absolutely.
got fucked up over and over in this lifetime. Like,
Yes.
I could tell you so many examples in my life, you know, and we've all been through these things.
Hell yeah.
So how can we create a fucking honor system where we just care freely and love freely and like leave all the bullshit out the way? Which honestly, to me, I don't know, dude. I'm gonna say it, I guess. A lot of it has to do with this money shit.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with money. It's like, why do I have to pay you however X amount of money if you are a type of person that can read energy? Then you know who the fuck I am. Let's have a conversation. Let's build this shit. Why do I got, you know? But then again, there's a part of me that's like, spirit's telling me you got to break that shit too, because at a certain point, like, people are putting in the energy to like get to where they're at. And I get that.
Right.
But I mean, I do that shit too.
Right. Absolutely.
I go to work 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, come home, read, do all this stuff, still get on lives, do all this stuff. And I don't give a fuck about nobody giving me something, but maybe that's because I got money coming in. You know what I mean? Some people are not doing it the way that I'm doing. That's what I got to understand. Some people, that's all they do. That's what they depend on for, I don't know, to make their money. So
right. Yeah.
There's just these opposite, like this dual energy that I'm having to deal with. Like, what is the right thing that I need to do? You know, I'm frustrated, and I know that it's not just with the world, it's mainly with myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
mainly with myself. Like, how do we move forward? Because
Absolutely.
I'm tired. Like, are we gonna be talking for 15, 20 more years? You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's why I give so much fucking props. I don't know how long you've been doing this, but I give so much props for people like the teachers, because I don't know how the fuck you could do that long from the 80s all the way till now
Right.
and have to deal with all of us.
Jeez. Right.
Like, that's
Absolutely.
fucking sainthood for your ass. Like, seriously, like I don't know, dude. Like, I'm the type of person, like I said, you put me in the game, I'm Kobe. Like, give me the ball, I'm gonna play, get out my way, or I'm gonna give you the ball, just I'm gonna set you up, whatever.
Right.
But I do have that Kobe energy where it's like you get mad. You understand? Like, the game is so serious to you that you
Right.
get mad.
Right.
And that's one aspect that I know I have to balance out, because even Kobe himself said, like, I didn't know how to tune that shit off.
Right. And that right there is really a really excellent demonstration and explanation on what this energy is looking like that we're experiencing and how this is our opportunity. See, when we start, one of the things that we think when we start getting into this work is that this process is going to be instant, because we got the iPhone, we got Google, we got the internet, social media, all of that shit. They got shit just going just like this. You put shit in a microwave, bada bing, the air fryer is done. You know what I'm saying? And we get things so quickly that we think that we should be in a certain space of enlightenment, or somebody else should be. But when we start, and this is part of the reason I know that spirit has us going through the energies, the different, and bringing it into cipher type of, bringing it into this whole conversation I call the cipher, so that we can get all of us that's doing this work to look at it from each different perspective. And this way, where we're not here to agree with each other, but state our perspective on how this goes, this will give us an opportunity to not only see things from a different perspective, but it also gives us this opportunity to break free from these mental strongholds that we got of how it's supposed to be, how it should be, what the teaching was, and how this person, because see, even though at the very end of the day, we got some master teachers moving in these streets. They humans at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? They'll fuck your wife. They'll, you know what I'm saying? You drop your money, they might put their foot over top of it and everything. And that don't mean that they don't have no spiritual mastery. It means they still human at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And so they may, and they may even have these times where they get on the platform and they pretend that they somebody that they ain't, and they won't take no drink, and they don't do this, and I'm not eating no meat. My dad looks like this, and all I do is stare at the sun and sip water all day and nothing the fuck else. You know what I'm saying? We get into this mentality. That's how it's supposed to look, right?
Yeah.
That's how we're supposed to show up. But in reality, it doesn't really look like that for everybody. Not for me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, spirit been like, hey, Case, get up. I'm like, no, it's cold in this bitch. I didn't even cut the heat on yet, because it's cold in Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all know nothing about that on the West Coast, but it's cold.
It's so hot over here.
Right. And so I don't want to get out of bed. And there's times that it's like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I still struggle because I like to drink and I like to get high. And I know it's slowing my ascension down. Get the fuck out of here telling me that shit. I read all of these books. I know what the fuck time it is. I don't need no help with that. You know what I'm saying? Can we get the cipher together so that we can figure out how we can navigate this shit? You know what I'm saying? Because I already read the books. I get that shit. Now we doing this real time. And we're showing up in real life, living real talk. I mean, living real life, doing real talk. And so now we got to let go of these expectations of how we think somebody is supposed to be, because the master is within us. This is why we always disappointed in motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they was hitting on somebody's woman. Oh man, she stole that nigga's man. You know what I'm you know, whatever in the hell is going on in these streets they talking about. Did you see this movie, The Woman King? Have you seen that?
I have not. I've just kind of read a few. I mean, initially when I first saw that, I put something up on a post about it. Just
I didn't see it.
But I'll let you talk about it. Did you see it?
No, I have not, but I'm gonna tell you, I gave it the side eye. But you know, I just wanted to hear what somebody else thought, because I haven't seen it. I gave it a side eye, so I just
here's what I'll say. I know I've seen some things from different people posting things about that, because that's from the Dahomey tribe.
Okay.
And I said, oh, you always gotta watch Dahomey. You know what I mean? Talking about the homie.
I know exactly.
You always gotta watch the homie. So you're right by saying that. Give it the side eye, because a lot of this stuff. Look, and I work at Hollywood, so I know I'm cutting my own balls when I'm saying this, right? And not me particularly, but like the way the system is. I know that I'm there for a particular reason, but I see how this shit is played out down to a science.
Don't like you smell the agenda in the air?
Oh yeah. And here's a lot of what I'll say. We have the energy moving towards a feminine energy, which is what is needed. But good old Hollywood, they're gonna take that, right? They're going to take the black person because they know that everything's shifting that way. So they're going to give it to you, but they're going to fucking, at the same time, they're going to be wrenching balls and doing all this stuff because their goal is to always keep us off balance. That's the main goal. They're going to keep, so whenever they know the shift is coming, because they know all this shit. There's a reason why they took a lot of our old shit and they studied it. They know they've seen into the future already. So they probably even got, you know, diviners that fucking do this shit for them. You know what I mean? And get back to them like, yo, this is what is going to be moving forward. So what they do is they end up creating scripts that fit the type, the archetype, but then they put it all on one side of the balance.
Absolutely.
So if the feminine is to be empowered, they got all these trolls going on all our pages seeing, oh, what's the spirit doing? What's going on here? And what they're going to do is they're going to give you all these movies that empower the feminine energy. But meanwhile, what they're going to do is flip it back and say, you know, that whole thing is a man's world. Well, now they're going to cut the balls off the man and make the woman have the balls. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's what I see the trickery of all this shit moving forward and has always been. But now that we're going into this spiritual ascension or spiritual movement going forward into a golden age that I foresee, there's always going to be this fucking playing, and I wouldn't even call them bad people.
No.
These are just archetypes that are playing their motherfucking role, and they're playing it well.
They're playing it well. And let me tell you, I agree 1000%. I gave it the side eye because it fucks with divine order. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is a woman king.
Yeah.
Because see, masculine and feminine energy, it's not a rank and file system. It's either masculine or it's feminine. That's the law of gender, right? So how in the fuck is a queen? That's why when Charles moved into his mom's position, they call him king, because he's a man. That's the masculine expression of that level of power. So when they took this woman and took her feminine expression of power away and made it masculine, I said, oh shit, here we go. But I'm gonna tell you something. See, this is right for the time. Because when I go back to the 90s, when I was raising my kids, they were doing these, what we call, see, this is how you see the spell casting work. The spells worked because they was priming us for this shit back. If you go back to the 90s and you look at all of them little TV shows that they were showing our kids, the Grassy High, some other bullshitting ass shows whenever I catch it, because at that time I was Sister Super Christian in the early 2000s, right? So you know what I'm saying? When I caught wind of it, you know what I'm saying, I eliminated that immediately. Thank goodness that's where I was at that point in my life. You know what I'm saying? However, I didn't really see it because I'm on some bullshitting ass morality thing. You get to live the life you want to live. Bigger picture at the end of the day is that they're messing with divine order. I have no hatred. I don't give a fuck how you live. You can do you, whatever.
Yeah.
But see, right, but this agenda where you're fucking with the natural state of things is where now that this is where the problem, like, this is where we were talking about intemperance, like how the fuck we get here? You know what I'm saying? Like we got it from where we all open, we loving, we accepting people for being who they are. And then we turned it into this shit right here. You know what I'm saying? And we took divine order out of that. But we saw that in the ritual, in Living Color. And they got the men wearing the dress. We thought that was funny. Laughter neutralizes a lot of these strong emotions, huh? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so we neutralized our feelings about that. And now today, it's normal, it's law, and you wrong for saying something now.
So, because I did hear the last show, right? And I don't know, like I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Like, what's the correct way to move with this? Because even when we heard Sister Myra, I don't know how, if you listened to the whole show, but at a certain point she was kind of backtracking, talking about, I guess, some people from the LGBTQ whatever came at her and was telling her like, hey, why are you hating on us and this and that. She said something along those lines, and she kind of started backtracking, which I kind of saw the spirit of it was kind of like, no, don't backtrack.
Right, fuck that.
but at the same time, the way she approached it was kind of like how I'm feeling about it, which is, let's be patient with this one. Absolutely. because when it comes down to like the original spirit, there was no duality.
Right.
It was what we consider God. God is whatever. There was no duality. But what happened is it split and created all these galaxies, all these planets, all this stuff. When that split, it created duality. Meaning that the original gods were all hermaphrodite, if I could say that.
Right.
They were both. But I don't know if that plays out to like coming down to this reality and like just acting like you're a female and you're a man. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Like,
it's cool if you want to act that way, but then why do we need to adjust divine order? So if you came into this world and you show up in male form, but you express yourself as a female, why can't you just be at peace with that? Why in the fuck do I got to tell you that you a woman? You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
I agree.
See,
There's so much fucked up
that's
shit.
where we in trouble. You know?
But I think it comes down to they've been, again, by the system, right? To keep everything off balance, what they're doing is they're giving this whole community all of this power,
Yeah.
and now it's setting off balance. You know what I mean?
Again,
Definitely moles in the game. You know what I'm saying? There's people that are infiltrators that
no
come
doubt.
in to just establish certain shit, and just they're just in the back laughing at this whole shit. But
And they've been casting these spells. I don't know if you got to hear I think Brother Penny, he goes on. It take me a while to be able to listen through his lectures because he got a lot to say,
oh
and I don't
yeah,
want to miss that shit. You know what I'm saying?
10-hour lecture.
Thank you. Right, right. You know what I'm saying? That nigga is gangster. However, he was definitely bringing some shit. We all knew about that whole shit with, you know what I'm saying, the music being connected to the prison system and all of that shit, right?
Yeah.
We knew that. You know what I'm saying? But when he brought it up, it brought back a whole lot of thinking where he was talking about how they did all of that shit. They put all of the shit in play. The whole ritual was done, and now we seeing it play itself out. Same thing goes about with this whole shit that we talking about. Because like I said, we was all in a space of love and accepting people for who they are. And then it shifted. The energy shifted in this to see just how far out of bounds, in my eyes, out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? I ain't speaking for nobody else. In my eyes, out of bounds, we can take it. And the stage had been set for that. When they started putting all of these men in dresses, I don't even think we realized that's what the ritual was. When Dave Chappelle spoke out about, like, why the fuck do they want to keep seeing us put on dresses all the time?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck is that? And they want to demasculate the black man and all of this other shit. It was bigger agenda. Now look at what we got. This the law now, nigga. They brought that shit in now, telling us now this is the way we got to show. They got trainers at work. This is why I ain't trying to fucking work for nobody. The fuck you mean? I don't know how to treat people with respect. You think I'm gonna just show up like, you know, you ain't no woman. You know you ain't a man. What type of shit is that? Who would do some ignorant, ill shit like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, there's some folks that will. Let's not get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? But as a spiritually, I'm not gonna say evolved. I'm gonna say somebody who's really doing the work to try to really doing the work to be better in this world and how I show up. I got to speak truth to power in love. And this is the reason why I got that flaming heart with a cloud of smoke, because this shit is motivated by love. I got that smoke for you. You know what I'm saying? But this is all in love. It's not because I'm trying to tear you down. This is the way that I see this. This is what time it is for me right here. This is how I see the world. And I don't mean any harm for anyone. This is for us to be right in a sense. This is for us to quit playing bullshitting ass games and drop these illusions. This is time for us to stop playing bullshitting ass games where we go along to get along, because they will lead us right over a fucking cliff if we keep letting motherfuckers lead us in directions we ain't comfortable with. But we do that even when it feels wrong.
And I guess that's kind of where my frustration comes in too, is like, because my conversation with Spirit is like, man, blow this whole motherfucker up. I'm ready to fucking go. Fuck all these fools. But but at the same time, I know that's not like, that's
right. Nah,
there's still something more to, there's still something here, you know, that we came here to accomplish. If not, we wouldn't have done this shit. So
absolutely.
My question to anybody, look, like I had this convo, look, I had gone on a boat trip with my homeboy, and then he's all like, "Oh, let's hit up a bar right here in Gardena." That's where like we went to high school at, which is like an hour from where I live now. So I'm all like, I go there and we're just gonna have, you know, a beer or two and dip out. And I'm like, in my head, I start thinking about my lesbian homegirl that I had, that when I worked at UPS. And in my head, I was like, that shit's funny if she shows up right now. And I hadn't seen her in like 15 years. Tell me why within 2 minutes she was fucking right next to me. And I was like, oh shit. Like there was so many things that happened that day. Including like me fucking something that was lost fucking popped up somewhere. Like I literally made it appear because I had been working on that shit. So my convo to my lesbian homegirl, because I don't hold no punches.
Right.
I said, look, this is where I'm at today. I know you see me on Instagram. I know all this stuff, but we don't talk. I said, look, what is the possibility that you were a man 15 times out of 20 in all your past lives? It's a lot of male energy.
Yeah.
I know when I came into this lifetime, I'm bringing in shit from other lifetimes that I'm having to deal with. What are the chances that all this stuff that people say, oh, I just feel like I'm this? What are the chances that it could be because they had so many lifetimes as a certain sex, or maybe got turned off by a certain sex, you know what I mean? Because of certain things that happen to them. And then they come into this lifetime thinking that they are the other sex.
Right.
Even though they were born feminine. Right. Because that's my whole thing is I don't see how that's the case.
You know what?
I mean, there are animals that are both sexes. There are animals that are gay.
Yeah.
As you would say.
Yeah.
So there are reflections of it in the other worlds. That's the only part of it where I'm like, I only have certain thoughts about it, but I reserve myself. But I do agree. Once you're stepping on my shoes with an agenda, like, oh, we're gonna have problems.
See, and that's where that's where the concern is, because I don't really care about how somebody wants to show up and express themselves. My thing is this agenda, this social pressure that's attached to it. And going back to where strength is at, where we got to have this inner power within ourselves, the courage to speak our truth. And it might not be a popular opinion and everybody don't agree, but when I tell you I see that this is going against divine order, I don't give a shit if a female decide, you know what, I'm gonna be a man. And she jump up, she shave off her head, and she get dressed up and be like a dude. You do you. You know what I'm saying? However, when you bring that shit to my granddaughter's school, she's 8 years old, and you tell her that she can do that, or you tell my 7-year-old grandson he can cut his dick off, and it's okay, and we'll congratulate him for that, and he ain't even old enough to make a call like that. And then we got, you know what I'm saying? Because see, we missed the whole spirit of love and acceptance, where they want you to, now you got to go on a motherfucking magic carpet ride with niggas now. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, ho, I get off at this stop. Let me, like, ding, ding, ding. I get off at this stop. This the stop I get off at. But they want you to feel like you agree with 3 things that they say, and then they take you a little further, and when it don't feel right, because we want to get along, we want to go along with folks, we sit back, we acquiesce, but we don't realize saying nothing is agreement. You know what I'm saying? And so now we sitting back and we just watching shit unravel, and we ain't saying, ho, wait a minute. It don't mean we don't love you, fam. Yeah. But what you ain't finna do is bring this shit, you know what I'm saying, to this level. We ain't escalating that shit.
Yeah.
And that's just like, if you're angry about something, I understand that you upset about it. That don't mean you show up and burn their fucking house down. They
Yeah.
show this on all of these crime shows about how, you know, the man, he walked in, his wife was fucking somebody else. He got all upset. He burned that motherfucker to the ground, shot everybody in that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
It's an agenda. This is crazy. Like it. I feel like this is a crazy shit. We're on this phone, right? This is the technology we're having to deal with. But yet this technology is the shit that's fucking us up because our technology in our interior is far superior. Far superior. I've put it to test. When I go away from TV, which actually when I first like had my awakening moment, I think I didn't watch TV for months at a time, didn't even think about it because I was on such like a high form of thinking that I didn't have no time for that shit. Even now, the only thing I watch is movies. I don't watch news. I don't watch one iota. I don't watch one iota of news. Never have since I was a child. I always had this high tap in of my spirit where I always knew that was bullshit. Like my parents, or I should say my mom and my stepfather, that's all they just had the news on all day, the Spanish news. And I'm like, this shit is bullshit. I don't understand how you guys watch this, but I understand it's like it's so we've become so detached and so detached from our spirituality because we're so bombarded by all the BS.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, why don't they make a show called The Good News and just talk about good shit on there?
Well, ain't nobody want to hear about no positivity in these streets.
Exactly.
If it leads, it leads.
That's what. But is that true though? Yeah. Is that true? Because at a certain point, like we bought into that too.
Yes.
We bought into that because they told us that. They said, "Oh, people only like the drama, this and that." Yeah, I agree, but at a certain point, I think we're kind of fed up with certain shit. So we got to start like everybody. We just got to start putting out different shit. Like break the mold.
Yeah.
The mold being the old cycle is the mold.
Absolutely right. Like I told them, the queen is dead now. It's time for us to start speaking truth to power, even if it's not popular, because we will sit back and we will allow this place to drag us to that proverbial hell they've been talking. You know what I'm saying? For real. And we sit around and like, you know, when Dante was on it, he said something that was so powerful is that we look to the stars for guidance. We still look to the stars. And so we on Instagram and we watching people who ain't got shit figured out they self live their life and tell us the way to go. And we trot right behind them. And a lot of us got far more wisdom. And we still look to them for the way to go. We done lost our motherfucking minds out here in these streets. But listen, let me wrap this up right here on this one because the time is going to be up for the podcast. So I'm going to put some outro up on here. Hold on just a second. And if you got a thought, you can finish it up. They can catch it on the YouTube channel. Hold on. Here we go.
YouTube.
Get with it, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I wanted to let you go ahead and finish your thought before I close it out. Because I know I gotta stop everybody in mid-thought, but go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. This actually was great. You know what I mean? Like I feel like whatever energy we were holding on to that was kind of keeping us and the word I want to say is stagnant. Stank. Right? That stank water that ain't moving. like I feel like a little bit of that was not a little bit. I felt it moving. You know, it was moving. It's like we had our paddle in our cauldron, you know, and we're dipping that motherfucker back and forth, just getting that water moving.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Because it's time now. And that's what this strength is all about. Us just having the courage to just speak our truth and fuck what they heard. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that you agree with everything that I'm talking and I agree with everything that you talking, but
absolutely.
we gotta hold space for each other in these spiritual streets, in these cosmic streets, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We got to hold space for each other so that even if you don't agree with them, we holding enough space where people can speak their truth, because it may not resonate for everybody. But however, if we all sit together in this cipher right here and we put these pieces together, we go figure some shit out like nobody's business. But we got to be able to work together and not let it be this egoic type of, you know what I'm saying? I got to make sure that everybody is agreeing with me. We got to be on the same page. You ain't doing it right. You still eat meat, motherfucker. You know, that bullshit, save it. You know?
Yeah. See, that's the thing is, like, I understand we're all in our different cycles right now.
Mm-hmm.
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, like I would say, like I've had conversations with Anthony, right? Where I could tell he's at a certain cycle and like he's working through certain things. And he might have a drunk outburst on me one day, call me up and tell me all this shit. And I'm like, I don't see it the way you're seeing it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like sometimes when you're in a certain cycle that you're having trouble getting out of, it's like you will lash out at other people that are, in your eyes, trying to be better. Or so there has to be this acceptance that we're all moving through different cycles. Fuck it, if you want to be a vegan, go ahead. I'm sure that's good for you.
Right. Do you?
There's just different things. I feel at my best, honestly, Shakesha, when I'm on top of my game.
Me too.
When I'm not doing certain shit that I know slows my shit down. When I'm not watching TV, and I'm like more into different shit. But when it, like, for me right now, what I'm really trying to figure out is the balance, because some people turn and look at me like you're just fucking all about that. Like, I've had my wife tell me that, like, I can't have a conversation with you unless it's about some spiritual stuff, and I don't like it, basically, is what came out, you know. And for me, that's really frustrating, because I don't just do my work for myself. I do take it like I'm doing this work for me and you know, as my wife, my daughter, the future of humanity. Really, that's what it comes down to. As much as that sounds like some fucking, like, who the fuck you think you are? You know what I mean? But I really feel like certain people came down to play certain roles, because we are meant to be the voice and the head of the snake. Like I said, all of us are the head of a snake that have a certain upper consciousness for our families. But I'm talking about, there's certain people out there like Bobby Hemmett that was a head of the snake for humanity. You know what I'm saying? And he said it himself, don't fucking worship me. And that's my same attitude. Don't worship me. But at the time, I feel a certain, you know, thing on my shoulders that's been put there, not out of self, but out of my life bringing me to a certain point.
Right.
Where then spirit is getting a hold of me in different types of ways to let me know, yo, this is you, motherfucker. And it ain't no like, like, this is you, and this is you, and this is you, and this is you. So you start to see yourself throughout history, like literally throughout history. And you're like, how do I put that shit together and give it to the people without them? Because people are never gonna like take well to someone who thinks they got it together, or think they have certain thoughts that is gonna move this shit forward.
Right.
Like, for some reason, we kick against the goads when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't like that shit a lot of times.
Right.
But I'm trying to balance this whole thing out, and I know we're gonna get there. It is patient. That shit's a true saying. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Shit.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going through those. I've died many times over, so.
Absolutely. And that's funny that you brought that up too, Axel, because the same discussion my husband and I used to have, you know, is that, you know what I'm saying? You so far gone into this spiritual thing, but see, this is just me. I'm on a spiritual path. So when, you know what I'm saying? We was together when I was into the church and all of that. When I got with him, I was into that. And that was really important to me, is to build and grow in that. So this is just who I am as a person. What I do realize is that he's in my life to help me stay grounded. You know what I'm saying? Because even though he can engage in some of the conversation, like most of a lot of the shit he don't get, and it's not his experience, so it sounds like a reach. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, when me and him, we get together, we talk our life like that. And then sometimes I'll give him my perspective, because he's sitting up there, he probably got CNN on as we speak, right? Or Fox, or one of them shits, right? Absolutely, right. And you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So when he's talking about a lot of that shit, I'm always giving a spiritual perspective. We can build like that sometimes, but for the most part, we get together, I come down to earth. This is where I get grounded. That's an opportunity for me to be able to live what I call a multi-dimensional lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Where I got to come down on his dimension and kick it with him, the grandkids, the rest of the family, and do that. You know what I'm saying? And it's in there. But with that, I've learned to be able to bring higher wisdom down at a very basic level, not by sitting around showing them that I'm a cut above the rest of these niggas, because that was used to be my shit. Now y'all need to know this. I know something, and you better hear it. That used to be my shit back then. You know what I'm saying? Today it's more of acceptance and really helping us to start challenging a lot of the programs that we've been under in a loving and kind way. So then when they get upset, well, the preacher, he did this and that, and we don't like the way he, or she should have showed up with this and that. People are human at the end of the day. And unfortunately, we missed the mark. But that doesn't completely disqualify them from humanity, because they didn't bring any string beans to the potluck. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever in the fuck flaw that, you know what I'm saying, humans come up with. Or they didn't have no money to pitch in, you know what I'm saying, on Uncle So-and-so's funeral. And so, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't disqualify them from humanity. But we have this all or nothing thinking, where we think if somebody does one thing to piss us off, that completely disqualifies them from being righteous. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta really allow people to have the space to be. But when we can do that from our perspective, because we ain't sitting around scared of the devil and going to hell and all of this other shit, and we can go and we can enjoy a drink with somebody without making them feel judged about it. You know what I'm saying? Smoke a doob with the family or the old friends and keep it moving and all of that shit, and still be able to come down to earth, kick it with them, and have enough discernment to know when it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? And being able to do that balance. It's really funny to me that I pulled the strength card, and the two Leos in the cipher were able to make the cipher today. The strength card is behind the sign Leo. And when that card shows up, we got the woman who is half of a lion on this one, and then the other one, she's putting her hand in the mouth of a lion. And that is all about like having that inner power, the courage to overcome, and to be able to work with people and accept people on a broader level. And that's where that inner strength comes from, where that whole Leo energy is concerned, where it's not necessarily connected to pride anymore and how we think it's supposed to be, and our ego and what you think of me, but more as we're really here to light this bitch up.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But listen, thank you so much for your time today. I'm gonna wrap it up. And wow, this was an on-time discussion. Spirit know what they doing, I swear.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, peace and light, peace and love, brother.
Peace.
Peace.